And good evening. Is this audio working? Delay. Okay, it seems like it is working. I didn't feel like setting everything up, hence the dramatic lighting. Only the monitor is lighting my face, so I'm at ISO 1250 on this camera, f2.8. So anyone who's in photography understands that. I think it looks pretty good. Not bad. So I received kind of an informal challenge here. Let me switch. There we go. So I was just asking about something on Twitter and just wondered if someone else had done this before. And I'm asking about something called Code Server. That I don't know where I found it. Stumbled across it today. And it apparently is one solution. I've seen a few others, like I think GitHub is working on one, and there's one other that you can do this weird like screen emulation through a server as well of VS Code. This one is Code Server, and it appears to natively run VS Code through a WebSocket or something on Linux. Now, I'm wondering, it says run VS Code on any machine anywhere and access it in the browser. And you can run it on a Windows, iPad, Chrome, whatever. That's the concept. So I'm going to assume it cannot possibly run the AL extension or related extensions, but I'm always looking for a way to not have to have a specific dev configuration on my laptop, on my dev machine, or even on a VM. Like I'd love to just have this generic thing that magically provides me with a full development environment. With if you've ever had to set up development environments before, and if you're a developer, you have, it can be a major hassle. And once you get that development environment set up and working, it's just kind of like sacred. I'd love to be able to do that just anywhere I go and not have to worry about a fixed installation. Well, in theory, this could be interesting. So anyway, I asked about this. So far, no one said yes, but it's almost like a challenge. Seems interesting. I'll follow this thread. It's like, okay, now I kind of feel obligated to provide an update here. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to try this. I am a disaster on Linux. I hate Linux just because I have no idea what I'm doing, which is kind of a theme. So I guess I should be perfectly comfortable there. But I've just had repeated failures whenever I try to do anything on Linux. Like it's just, I've wasted so many hours. But anyway, about to see what happens. So they claim to offer a script to deploy to a VM, essentially. And they have specific instructions for deploying to a DigitalOcean droplet, which I happen to have a DigitalOcean droplet handy. It's $5 a month for a mini Linux server. I run Pi-hole on it as an external DNS. It's been kind of cool. Besides the fact that I have no idea what I'm doing with it, and I had to hire someone to get Pi-hole configured on it for me. So I assume this is going to be a failure, but like, let's see what happens. Just how quickly I fail, I guess. So this is creating a new droplet. I already have one, so I don't want to create a new one. And it says select additional options, user data, and then paste in the contents of this shell script into the text area, and it kind of runs that script. So I'm going to already go off-roading and go off script here because I already have the droplet. I don't want to create a new one and spool it up and try to figure that out. So I'm just going to see what happens. I mean, how bad can it be, right? So come along for this journey. So here we are with a PuTTY terminal. I am connected via SSH to this Linux droplet, DigitalOcean droplet. and I'm just going to try to run these commands. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, and I mean that in the most literal sense of the world. It's like asking me to repair an MRI machine or a jumbo jet. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start. So I'm just going to follow these instructions and see what happens. So before I did this, just to make sure this wasn't a complete disaster from the first command, I opened up the SSH terminal, I logged in, and I tried to enter the first two commands, and I didn't get any error. So let's see what happens, right? So curl. Now I'm familiar with curl. FSSL. I should probably copy and paste this, but it makes me feel like I'm actually doing something if I type it. codeserver.dev/install.sh pipe sh. So it's pointing to some install script at code-server.dev. Whoa. Installing version 3.1.1 of AMD 64 Debian package from GitHub. That's pretty cool. So using curl, I can hit an install shell script. Okay. Deb package has been installed. To have systemd start code server now and restart on. Okay. Before I do that, okay, let me just screenshot this because once it goes away, I will probably miss it. Okay, so I ran the first step, which is this curl install shell script, something. Add our helper server to redirect to the proper URL for -- link. No idea what this means, but it's a git clone. I kind of recognize that. So let's paste this in. Oh. So putty, you right mouse click to paste. Okay, so we have unpacking, remote something. So that apparently did a git clone. I'm going to cd coder cloud redirect server. Okay, now I'm going to go into some copy. Oh, I'm going to copy a file. Okay, that's a .service file. And going to copy and paste that. So I'm copying a Python script, it looks like. Now I'm going to create a code server user. Add user disabled password. How do I set a password? Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Hello, chat. Yes, no. I have no idea what I'm doing either, but I'm trying to get something called code server working here. I'm just following instructions like a parrot because I do not know what this is. Adding user, disabled user, geckos coder, enter. Okay, this seems to be working. I'm going to take this as a single line. Okay. User mod ag sudo coder. Okay. Copy SSH keys from root. Okay, so I'm guessing this is going to rely on SSH. So copy root SSH home coder SSH. Okay, so it's going to use the same SSH key as root, presumably. And ch own coder home coder SSH. Okay, some permission stuff. We're going to configure code server to use link with coder user. Okay, whatever. Just whatever. I don't know what this means. Echo link true. Okay, doing some YAML business. Okay, almost done. Wow, I haven't had an error yet. Fingers crossed. Okay, start and enable code server and our helper service. Wow, how many minutes has it been? Oh, okay, a couple minutes. Paste. Okay. Target wants. I don't know what that means. And lastly, Did that work? Okay. So I apparently now have Code Server installed and enabled on my $5 a month DigitalOcean droplet. Okay. Feel free to add SSH. Once your server starts, you can simply navigate to the IP address to get forwarded to a secure version of Code Server, which will be proxied behind your GitHub account. What does that mean? Code Server. It just redirects me back to see codeserver.link -- link. Code server link. TLS port. You can access your IDE at examplecdr.co. I don't know what that means. Let's just try to figure that out. Is there a -- link here? There is. Okay, so let's see what happens. As far as I could tell, it's running. So I think, let me see what the name of this DNS name is for this. This is, it's a Pi-hole external. Okay, so I have Pi-hole principiodev.com. Huh. It's taking me to Pi-hole. Okay. So this may work because I already have Pi-hole on here. I did not think of that. I already have Pi-hole hitting using HTTPS. Yep. HTTPS examplecdr.co. Oh, code server -- link. Let's see what happens. Code server -- link. Code server, HTTP server listening on, authenticated. Ooh, visit this to log in. Okay, let me log in with my top secret GitHub credentials, which are actually pretty locked down. GitHub. Okay. So, oops. I have, I use a YubiKey for my GitHub auth. Use security key. Okay. Wants to access my account. Authorize CDR. How, if your browser does not redirect you. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that having Pi-hole already on this DigitalOcean droplet is causing a problem. Should I create a new DigitalOcean droplet? So it is spinning and cloudcoder.com. So it's doing a callback. Copy link address. Yeah. Okay, so it's doing a callback. So it's trying to borrow. Yeah. Pi-hole Steve Endo CDR.co. Got it. So that's what they're talking about. So they're having a, interesting, they're doing a redirect. You auth through GitHub and then you redirect back to your host.cdr.co. Okay. So I think that failed. So I'll have to figure out how to uninstall from there. But what I'm wondering is if I spool up a new droplet, create droplet. Okay, so let's move this over here. Let's do this here. That, okay. So deploying code server on DigitalOcean. So I'm going to do an Ubuntu 20.10. Oh, I probably have the LTS, so I wonder if it is dependent upon the newer OS as well. So 20.10 droplet, any size, any region. Okay. So I'm going to do a basic for a whopping $5 a month. Block storage. I don't know what any of this stuff means. VP. User data. So I do have to check user data box. Paste in the contents of the launch server. Can I copy this? Okay. Open this file. I don't know the easy way to copy this, but okay, so let's paste this in. Okay. And create your server. Okay, so let's create the server. Heads up. Private networking is now automatically enabled. Okay. Create a root password. I do not have SSH keys, so we're going to go with a root password. And don't tell anyone my password, please. Okay. Cannot end in a number or a special character. Are you kidding me? What kind of bizarre requirement is that? Okay. Please store your password securely. Of course. Let me record it. Droplet. Okay, so I have a 1 CPU. Okay, and this is code server. Okay, enable backups. No, I'll skip those for now. Kind of nervous. Okay, let's create droplet. In progress. Okay. Once your server starts, you can simply navigate to the IP address and get forwarded to a secure version of code server, which will be proxied behind your GitHub account. Okay. So I just need to go to this IP address, supposedly. Now, is it active? Backups are not enabled. So I'm going to copy the IP address. Going to hit the IP. Connection refused. Okay. Is it still building? How do I tell? Droplet has been created. Okay, so it just got created. Let me try again. Whoa. Coder. Very simple service that simplifies connections. If you are being redirected, that means the redirect service is working but is unable to read the code server status. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to log out of this, start up a new PuTTY session, and this is code server. Let's copy the IP address, code server droplet, save that, and fix the font. Yes. Okay. So we're going to log in as root, and okay. So it is saying that it cannot verify the status. So systemctl status code dash server at coder active running. Okay, so let's try this again. So let me copy the IP. cdr.co. Check it out. Okay, so the lessons so far are you want a fresh droplet, or Linux host. You don't want anything else running on it. Specifically, I'm guessing HTTP, HTTPS. That's going to interfere with this. So it kind of assumes it's the only daemon on those ports. So cool. So getting started with VS Code, and okay, so choose the look you want. What does that mean? Rich support, choose the look I want. Okay, I don't care. Next section, redefine your editing skills. Okay, is this just a VS Code commercial? Okay. Okay, yeah, it's just kind of a tutorial. Track your code with Git. Okay, customize your shortcuts, mark done. Interesting. So that was just getting started with VS Code. This is wild. Okay, now the number one thing, if you use VS Code, the number one thing that, at least that I want, is extensions, because VS Code, like without extensions, is a glorified notepad of sorts. So this is one of the big limitations that appears to be in place. Oops, did I hit the wrong button? Oh, I'm so sorry. What happened? Okay, I don't know how that happened. Oh, yeah, my video editing popped in. So anyway, this is the code server interface. So this is a web-based, fully web-based, browser-based version of VS Code. And looks like VS Code on the side here. Interesting. So let's go to extensions, see what they have. And so this is the big limitation. These extensions are not official. It was something about the licensing of extensions. They can't connect to the extension marketplace and view and install those, I guess because of the open source licensing, something to that effect. So if I can get this out of the way. So let's see what we've got. We've got C#. Now it says these are not official. Let's just take a look and see what they mean by that. And so they have extensions. Why can't Code Server use Microsoft's extension marketplace? the core of VS Code is open source, while the marketplace and many published extensions are not. Microsoft prohibits the use of any non-Microsoft VS Code from accessing their marketplace. So we can't offer any extensions from Microsoft's marketplace. Instead, we've created our own marketplace offering open source extensions. So they scrape GitHub for VS Code extensions and build them. Okay. So I misread that. So it looks like you can have some extensions. So let's start with, there it goes again. Okay, I think I have the voice activated feature. Let me see if I can turn that off really quick. I think it is triggering based on something I say. Shortcuts, activators. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so let me see if that stops the auto switching. Okay, so let's go for C#, because I was just trying to do Azure Functions in C#. Install in remote. That looked like it worked. Okay, now I'm going to guess there's nothing in Azure here, but... Ooh, look at that. This is impressive. They have done a lot of work. So let's install Azure Functions. Okay, so with those two things installed, let's see if F1 works. Look at that. F1 works. So if I do, oh, okay. So let me remember how to do this. So if so Azure Functions is installed, but there is no extension button on the left side. So let me try an F1. Oops. F1. Reload window. This is wild. Okay. So yeah, look at that. So there is no Azure function button here. So let me just see if I can go to, okay, so Azure FN1. Please enter a path that exists. Home coder. Okay. Okay, so this is, let me create a new folder called Azure FN1. Okay, and so let me close the current folder and let me start over. Okay, open folder. Azure FN1, that'll be my new project directory. Okay, so because I do not have the Azure button there, and let me see if I can show what that normally looks like. So let me hop on my normal dev server, and let's pull that up. So this is test FN1. Oh, I guess I should have started a new one. So normally I would have the Azure button here, and I would have functions that could appear in that Azure extension pane. And when I click on here, that creates a new function, uses the template, sets everything up, and does this for me. So I'm not seeing that. And I don't know if that's a function of the extensions or the UI, or if I need to like refresh something. Because here are the extensions. Yeah, so that's what I should get. I'm not getting that. Okay, so let's try this. Let's see if I can exit completely. If I just close the browser tab. No. Okay. So if you were a supercoder and you know extension settings. Yeah, I don't know how to, yeah. Okay, so let's try this. Let's just go commando here. Let's create a new file. Yeah, there's lots of files. See, I think I would have to create, like, look at all this stuff. Okay. So it's looking kind of rough at the moment. I mean, the fact that I can't see the extension buttons showing up here, not good. So let's see, extensions. Okay, how do I install an extension? Okay, that's a VSIX. Okay, so sidebar should work. How do I use my own extensions marketplace? Where are they stored? Okay. Yeah. So I don't know how to get, I'm kind of useless without extensions. Okay, so the summary is pretty cool looking. You can install extensions, but I don't know how to get them to work. Edit, view. We can do a terminal. Ooh, look at that. Okay. So we have a terminal. How do I install an extension? Let's just see what happens here. So if I install Python, installing extension. Oop. Am I showing the right screen? Yeah. Okay, was successfully installed. So it shows Python. It shows it's installed, but like yeah, it's basically doing the same thing. Okay, cool. So I'm going to uninstall this. Oh, and it uninstalled both. How do I do? Maybe, oops. Close this. F1. Azure Functions. Oh. Let's see what happens. Azure Functions, new. Create new project. Maybe this is the workaround. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so it looks like there are some things about the extensions, and not surprising. Let's see if there's AL in here. Look at this. AL. Let's see. Business Central. AL. Language. I don't know if it's open source, so that may be why it doesn't show up. Yeah, I don't think the AL language extension is open source. There's Waldo's AL extension, but no base AL. So that answers my question on the AL. That would have to be open sourced, and I do not believe it is. AL language extension. AL language extension. GitHub, Microsoft AL. Oh, what's here? MIT license, but it's probably not on their top 100 list of extensions, so it is not available here yet. Very interesting. Okay, so I think the lessons are: one, it is fairly easy. In a couple minutes, you set up a DigitalOcean droplet or other Linux VM or virtual host. You then can run the script to install it. You then just hit the IP and you have a working VS Code. Now, the projects are saving files on the Linux file system, but you could just use Git to push to your repo. So kind of cool. However, I typically rely upon extensions, and it looks like that is a no-go at this time, at least for the stuff I use. Maybe like Python or something would work better. So .NET new, C# new. Yeah. Okay. So I'm kind of useless in VS Code without a whole bunch of extensions, but it is promising, and I'll see if I can pull it up on an iPad. From what I have read, it is possible to do things on an iPad. Shortcuts and keyboard shortcuts and other things may be a little tricky, but this is looking promising. And I believe GitHub, what is it called? GitHub Code Spaces is an alternative project that I'm very interested in. And I believe I have requested early access. Yep. So I'm on the wait list. Get a cloud development environment you can access from anywhere. But again, I'm assuming that AL language extension won't be available or won't be supported, probably has dependencies that won't work here. And then if you haven't heard of it before, another very cool thing is something called Replit. And super cool. Let's see, can I log in with GitHub? Okay, so Replit is like this really cool thing where you just say, oh, I want a new REPL. What language do you want? And let's see if they have C#. Where's the pound sign? It's so dark I can't tell. Okay, so there's no C#, but let's say you wanted a Python. And upgrade your account. Okay, so this is a public REPL. And so instantly you have a Python development environment. Like instantly in a browser, zero machine dependencies, and this is a full environment. And you can even use this platform to host your web applications or your solutions, whatever they are. And it's just 100% SaaS development. Zero dependencies on your machine, whether that's Windows, Mac, Linux, tablet, you name it. So I don't know anything about Python yet, but I was doing just some test learning based on a Microsoft video series, and you can use Replit without having to install Python on your machine. So super cool technology, and that's really what I want to know about with this code server and being able to use VS Code. So with that, enough rambling. So I did get it installed and working, but it doesn't seem to do anything that I would want at the moment. So anyway, I hope that was a great way to cure your insomnia. And yeah, have a good one. Enjoy.